Over recent years, social media networks have become an integral part of many of our daily lives. Some might even argue that social media helps us stay in touch with loved ones, giving us regular news updates and pictures, making them almost as good as seeing a close friend in person. However, according to new research released today, these people couldn't be more wrong. The study by Goodfella's Extra Thin Pizza reveals that by living our lives through our social networks, the art of real-life conversation is dying out. Joining me today to discuss this and how we can recapture the art of conversation is TV etiquette expert William Hanson. Hi William, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
So, this research has found that 1 in 3 friends is now completely digital. I suppose the main question is, are you a fan of social networking? Do you tend to use them to keep in touch with your friends?
Well, yes. I mean, there is a place for social networking, but it should not replace our social lives. It should complement them. And I think a lot of people, not just the younger generation, the older generations as well, are forgetting that actually there is nothing as good as face-to-face conversation. However good Facebook and Twitter and all these other Instagram and all that get, it will still never be as good as face-to-face conversation.
Do you think it's just that we've become a bit lazy? Why do you think it is that the kind of art face-to-face conversation has died out slightly?
Yes, laziness is probably part of it, but also that we are forgetting how to do it, because sort of social interaction is not taught in the home or in the schools as it used to be, and people aren't practicing it because of their time-poor lives. Then we are just deciding, oh, I can't be bothered, or I'll do that. We're putting it off, and actually we never get round to doing it. And also, if we are going to have people round for dinner, a lot of these television shows that we've seen recently have sort of placed the stress on the food, and the food has got to be gourmet, and you've got to slave away for hours in the kitchen. And actually, a good dinner party is, yes, if the food's nice, it's an added bonus, it's a cherry on top of the cake. But really, you should be focusing on the interaction and a group of friends and family coming together and interacting with one another. And so, if you want to buy in the food. It's not a problem.
Okay, so what would your perfect night in dinner party, what would that be like?
Well, I would still, even if I was going to buy in the food, I would still do a proper table setting because, occupational hazard, I can't quite slum it. And it would be with a nice group of friends, candlelight, that sort of thing, proper napkins. But equally, there's nothing better than, actually what I quite like doing is sort of doing the full setting so people come in and expect wonderful things, and then bringing out, something that is really sort of contradictory to that full table setting. And Goodfella's Extra Thin Pizza are doing a campaign to bring people together, not on social media, to actually come face to face and practice the art of communication. So let's eat that pizza with a knife and fork. Let's do it properly, but still interact with each other.
Definitely change it up a bit.
Exactly.
So why do you think that when we do come together, and there are often those friends that you may not have seen for a year or two, why do you think that it gets a little bit awkward?
I think it can get a bit awkward because there's almost there's that guilt that you haven't actually met up with each other for quite some time, and perhaps especially if one or both of the parties are not on Facebook, you might not know anything about what's gone on in their lives in the last 2 years, and there's an awful lot of catching up to do, which is why actually coming together in a house rather than a restaurant where you're perhaps going to be rushed and they're going to need the table back in an hour is probably a better thing to do, because you can take longer to get back in touch with each other.
I'm sure this is resonating with a lot of people out there who are now thinking, I didn't meet that person for a while, I haven't seen them for a while. How would you advise them to break the ice with one of their old friends that they may not have got in touch with recently?
Well, humour is always a great tension breaker, and if you're skilled at making or finding something funny or putting in a joke, I'm not talking knock knock who's there sort of joke, but then that's always a great icebreaker. Or just dive straight in, you use small talk. It's a device that is there for a reason. The British are very good at small talk. The weather is obviously the stereotypical topic, but actually you could say things like, so when was the last time we saw each other? Gosh, it must have been Margot's party, wasn't it? Gosh, that was a very good evening. Yada yada yada, and find common ground, and then you will move into big talk quite seamlessly.
Yeah, and I suppose essentially, you knew that the person years ago. People don't change that much. You're always going to have things in common from years ago, even. So
yes.
Sometimes talking about the past is
Precisely.
the way forward.
Yes, talk about the past, and then you can then talk about sort of the present and then hopefully the future.
Brilliant. So it's all definitely about reconnecting with your friends. So can you just tell me where listeners can find out a bit more information about the Goodfellas pizza giveaway?
Yes, you can go to the Goodfellas website, goodfellaspizzas.com, or search for Goodfellas Pizzas UK on Facebook.
Brilliant. So get out there and get your pizzas.
Exactly, and get chatting. Let's not be digital friends. Let's be active, face-to-face friends.
Brilliant. Well, thanks for joining us today, William.
Thank you.